All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestling Pod. I'm your host, Carlito Santiago. And today, right before Saturday Night Main Event 41, we got a packed show on Monday Night Raw. But before we get on with our scheduled programming, please, if you could do me a favor and hit that hit that fucking uninstall button. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, comment down below, and turn on those post notifications so you never miss a stream like this. Let me tell you what happened on Raw. When it hit the airwaves Monday, with the Saturday Night Hype only 5 days away for the Red Brand, promising a packed show for you, we got a stellar lineup. So, Jey Uso and CM Punk came face to face in this confrontation. What felt like it was supposed to be like impactful. It wasn't impactful at all. See, Jey Uso hit the ring, obviously bringing the attention, turning the volume up with his yeet, and turning the attention to the numbers of people in his ears, including Roman Reigns, his brother, and including his mama. He claimed not to care about what any of them thought, which brought out CM Punk to confront his opponent for the vacated World Heavyweight Championship at Saturday Night Main Event. Punk said he watched Uso throw his own brother over the top rope last week, and then asked how far he is willing to go in their match. "I need to be World Heavyweight Champion like I need air in my lungs," he said. Jey Uso exclaimed before uttering his catchphrase and exiting the ring to close the segment, "Screw you, Punk." And this did not feel like it was anything. They should have done LA Knight instead. At this point, LA Knight should have been your winner, not Jey. But let me break it down and explain to you why that, of course, is the case. Originally, Jey Uso, I believe, was supposed to face LA Knight on this week's show. That got all changed, and have Jimmy screw his brother, or some aspect, or have Jey turn heel at some point. But instead, Seth Rollins had gotten injured, unfortunately, which of course was supposed to mean that Austin Theory was supposed to come back at Saturday Night Main Event in the Seth Rollins Punk match. We didn't get that, so WWE had to improvise. So instead of having, of course, the original programming, which is Seth Rollins versus CM Punk, we got Jey Uso versus CM Punk, because they want to do Jey turning heel at some point, especially, or his brother, or Jimmy. Gives Jimmy something to do, have him screw Jey out of that match. Because, again, it makes sense, it sticks with Jimmy's character. Jimmy screwed his brother over at SummerSlam because he didn't want him to become like Roman, or to become like what Solo is now. An utter joke. This was not the plan. There was no recognized issue between Punk and Uso, and it was clear in the segment. This was a whole lot of nothing. Punk was great as he tried to make the story about the depths to which Jey would go to beat him, but there was no real follow-up from the former world champion. The results was a segment of television that did not create any additional excitement of the matchup. So, we got to our number one contenders match next, as we saw Rusev versus Penta. A shot at Dominic's IC title was at stake in the first match. What was considered, of course, a good contest, which rolled through, of course, 2 commercial breaks, I believe, was a hot start. Penta came to a seething halt and entering the commercial break as Rusev flattened him with it onto the ring steps and seized control of the bout. The Bulgarian Brute dominated through the timeout and caught his opponent mid-air with a Machka kick. The Luchador answered with a Penta driver, but neither men were able to keep each other down. So as the action intensified, Los Americanos and El Grande Americano came into the ring and drew a double disqualification, but ultimately earned the wrath of Rusev. He cleared the ring of the sidekick, and Penta set Americano up with a Mexican Destroyer, but the heels escaped. So graded a B for what it's worth. Penta and Rusev do have in-ring chemistry. And LA Knight intends to pursue Punk or Uso after Saturday Night Main Event, which of course will lead to something else between Braun Breaker and the Vision, or what's left of it, of course. Graded a B, and I think that's acceptable. And I agree with the C for the promo in the beginning. It feels kind of downwards a little bit when you think about it. There was really nothing to give. But of course, I knew this was coming. I kind of figured that, Penta and Rusev, it's going to end in DQ or no contest, so they can set up a triple threat match for Saturday Main Event, which they announced. We got, of course, a longtime fan who wanted to face her longtime idol. Nikki Bella took on Roxanne Perez. The product of the babyface's return on last week's show, where she saved the Women's World Champion, Stephanie Valiquire, from a beatdown at the hands of the Judgment Day. Bella squared off with Perez in a singles competition. Perez wore her Hall of Fame opponent down, targeting the head and neck in the attempts to exploit a previous injury. Bella fought through the pain, fended her off, and was rolling late. Despite interference from Rodriguez, the former Divas champion was in a position to win late, but the alert prodigy sent her neck first into the turnbuckle and then delivered the Pop Rocks for the 1, 2, 3. Now, after the match, we had a 2-on-1 beatdown, but of course, thanks to Valiquire, that didn't happen. C+, which we figured that was going to be. Obviously, it was probably a lack of in-ring performance, but Bella still looks a step or two slow in the ring against stars of today. Of course, that is true, considering that that Perez is a bit faster, more younger, hesitant, and Bella is not in her prime. She's not in her prime. She's out of it. I think around the 2010s, mid-2010s is where Bella was in her prime, really. That last title reign she had before losing it to Flair completely is what really changed it. We hyped up, of course, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria for their women's tag team title match at the end of the night. So hopefully we get some sparks there, but there was only just some hyping. Braun Breaker and LA Knight had a match here made earlier in the night. LA Knight and Breaker wrote the latest chapter in the rivalry with the Megastar and the Vision. Breaker dominated the action into and coming out of the commercial break, using his strength to wear down the babyface. But Knight fought back, rolling late and driving the badass into the mat with a sudden superplex from the top rope. After laying into Reed at ringside, LA Knight countered a gorilla press slam into a reversed DDT for 2 as he scaled the top ropes to make his trademark elbow drop. Breaker kicked up and dodged the flying Knight and broke him in half with a spear. Knight and Breaker mesh well. This was another solid match featuring 2 top stars of Raw. It feels repetitive, but if for no other reason than the fact that Knight has already worked with every single major star on Monday Night Raw, despite arriving just a few months back, still, the quality was there. The finish sequence was great, and the results was above average. So, honestly, for above average grading, let's fucking give it. Let's give it a B+. This is probably the best thing on the show so far. LA Knight and Braun Breaker really killed it out here. I think they need to be showing more of these guys on TV. They do. They just have to. It makes more sense for your product to go up in the direction that it's going now, sort of, I guess. I don't know how the ESPN fucking viewership. Let's not dive into that. But for what it's worth, I think this was a great little match that they had, and I think we need to see more of it. Great chemistry these guys have. Braun, obviously, talking about the strength and the power that these men have. Also, Adam Pearce informed Dominic that he will be defending the title against Rusev and Penta on Saturday. Born from last week, of course, and from a backstage segment, Sheamus sought a measure of revenge against the Judgment Day after they led to his elimination from last week's number 1 contender Battle Royal. He started his path to retribution with a one-on-one match with J.D. McDonagh. Out of all fellas, J.D. McDonagh. The Iron Lun absorbed an early onslaught by the Celtic Warrior. Long enough for a well-timed interference from Finn Balor to allow him to capitalize on the distraction and seize control and enter the commercial break. When we came back, Sheamus was able to mount a comeback, but late in the match, and appeared to have McDonagh pinned at one point until Balor placed his tag team partner's foot on the bottom rope. breaking the count, and Sheamus wanted some revenge. So he got some. But at ringside, the babyface teased a Celtic Cross to Balor, but instead stopped, and McDonagh was ragdolled over the announce table. Threw McDonagh back in, Sheamus climbed up to the top rope, and Finn Balor, wouldn't you know it, took out a nice handheld shillelagh and hit him on the back with it to set up McDonagh for a Spanish fly from the top and score the win. This match was also great, and this also gets a B+. It is very, very fucking rare that you see somebody like McDonagh win on Raw. Whoever booked this needs a fucking raise. Triple H, whoever booked this, if this was you, great job. If not, fucking whoever did, they need a raise immediately. Give them a raise, because this match was fucking fire. Like, I felt like skipping it because I thought it was predictable. But then JD McDonagh was looking pretty hot at this, taking the beatings, and then won. Now they're coming after those tag team titles, and you can bet your ass on that. Sheamus is most likely to go after Finn Balor, maybe next week, before they can even move on from the tag team titles. But McDonagh, dude, this was just great. B+. Give the person who made this match a raise. McDonagh has been one of the best workers on Monday nights all year, and it's nice to see him get more opportunities in singles competition. Predictably, he and Sheamus were great here, delivering a strong match that was impacted late by an interference of Balor. Letting them go at it across 2 segments will always be a good idea. Adam Pearce granted Finn Balor and McDonagh's demands for a tag team title match on next week's show, so we got a confirmation on that. So next week we're getting AJ and Dragon Lee versus Finn Balor and JD McDonagh. Wow. Good keeping your word, Adam Pearce. Good keeping your word. But now, speaking of some tag team action, we got to our women's tag team championship main event. Bayley and Lyra Valkyria tested their tag team coherence on Monday night in the main event, challenging the partnership of Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair for the women's tag team titles. The champions started hot, but the challengers took over control of the bout during the commercial break, where Bliss was left on the defensive and Valkyria nearly folded her in half backwards. Bliss mustered a double DDT, creating separation, allowing a hot tag to the Queen. Flair exploded in the match, wiping both challengers out with a crossbody before unloading on them with a barrage of chops. A big boot knocked Bayley off the ring apron, but also fired up the role model, allowing her to unload her fellow 4 horsewomen and take Bliss off the apron. A Bayley to belly, earned only a 2 count. Now late, a tag to Valkyria allowed her to enter the match, but Bliss caught her from nowhere with a Sister Abigail. Bayley, though, broke it up at the last second amidst a chance of "This is awesome." Moments later, Valkyria delivered a Nightwing, but Flair broke up the count. Now, to this, too, also, when Valkyria delivered the Nightwing, her hair got stuck. I think they mentioned it here, actually. Did they mention it? No, they didn't mention it. But her Valkyria's Nightwing ended up getting caught in one of the gears, so they had to focus on Flair kind of getting the breakup pin, so they can so they could move forward. So that's why we had a little intermission bit for like a few seconds. Flair applied the figure 8, but Valkyria prevented Bayley from tapping out, only to fall victim to the Twisted Bliss. The Queen added a double natural selection, which Bliss, of course, hit one too, and picked up the win to successfully retain their titles. But it's what happened after the match, though. After the match, the Kabuki Warriors attacked the champions and the challengers, lying them out, of course, introducing that feud into the fray. This was an exceptional main event, made even better by a red-hot crowd. All 4 women cut a frenetic pace, had fans eating up everything they executed, and left plenty of questions about who would eventually emerge victorious from the contest. The chemistry was off the charts, and this may have been Bayley's best performance in months. graded an A, and I agree. I watched this tag team title match, and it was not that bad. It was actually pretty fire. I liked how this went about. We got, which could actually now be a triple threat. Now kind of moving up the charts with this women's tag team. Kind of having, you know, tag teams just form out of fucking nowhere, unfortunately. You know? So, what was the overall grade? Well, the opening segment between Punk and Uso landed flat, but the rest of the show was excellent. Raw has developed into the best weekly show from WWE, and in reaction like Rusev and Penta, Sheamus and McDonagh, and the women's tag team title match are the reasons why. The hype for Saturday Night Main Event was fine, if a little lackluster, but the show was all it needed to be, and the results was another strong offering from the flagship. Graded a B+, and I agree with this. Raw is on fire, and it's coming back. Before, of course, Raw was shit. It was very repetitive, and it was ran by, of course, an old fucking senile man named Vince McMahon. If there's anything you guys should go back and watch, I would recommend the LA Knight and Braun Breaker match, and I would also recommend the JD McDonagh and Finn Balor match, and I would recommend the women's tag team title match, and I would also recommend the opening segment between Penta and Rusev. This show killed it. Fucking opening with Jay and Punk, and it should have been Punk and LA Knight, which would have been more interesting, would have been more better. Hell, even you could have made it a triple threat match because all three men have problems, and Punk won by beating LA Knight and Jey Uso. I don't know where we're getting at with that. I think this is a feud nobody really wanted, but of course, it's unfortunately what you're getting. So fucking accept it. Punk is probably walking out with the world title. But that was Monday Night Raw. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I really think this was a great Raw. I agree with everything that was said right here. This last bit was great. Again, is what it needed to be. Graded a B+. So, if you guys don't know already, Saturday Night Main Event will be on Peacock. You guys can go check it out on Peacock, of course. If you need to. And, of course, I will be back here on Saturday for the SmackDown summary. Lewis will be here on Friday for the Thursday night football game. All right, I'll see you guys then. Peace.